Hello, welcome back to Moonlit Journal. Today we are doing a mid-year Techo Kaigi. I wanted to take some time to just reflect upon the journals and planners that I've been using this year. I also have this new edition that was introduced into my system in July, and I realized that I don't have like one dedicated video where I'm talking about my entire system in one place. At least not my current system. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to just talk about all of my books in one video for anyone who may be new to my channel or just curious about what my entire journaling system consists of, because most of the time I'm just showing you and talking about my Hobonichi Cousin. And I've kind of shown these other notebooks in various videos, but yeah, I haven't had like a dedicated catch up about all of the books I use in one video. So that's what we're doing today. Before getting into the Techo Kaigi, I wanted to quickly share here again that my Etsy shop is live. In case you missed my last video, I do now have my own sticker shop on Etsy where you can purchase any of these sticker sheets. I have physical sticker sheets and digital printables, so whatever your preference is, it's available on there. So if any of these designs are of interest to you, please check it out. I'll leave the link to my shop in the description box. And thank you so much to everyone who has already placed an order. I'm just blown away by the support that I have received, and I'm so excited for all of you to get your stickers very soon. So thank you so much, and yeah, check the description box if you're interested. Okay, moving into my journals. So let's start with this guy. This is my everyday carry wallet, essentially. It's not really a journal or a planner for me. It's more like an honorable mention in this video, but it is a traveler's notebook and it does contain a notebook insert. So I figured I should include it in this video if we're going over my entire system. I do have a much more thorough video all about the way that I use this book, which I will link up here. So if you're interested in the specifics of how I use this, I would watch that video. But just to briefly go over it here, this is a passport size traveler's notebook, and it acts as my wallet, an everyday carry. And in here I have a cotton zip case insert, also from Traveler's Company. I have a Serica Studio grid notebook insert. As you can see here, it's 52 GSM Tomoe River paper. And that's it. That's all I keep in here. And when I'm traveling, I also keep my passport in here because it actually fits a passport perfectly. And essentially, I just use this as a catch-all notebook. When I'm out and about in the world, this is where I jot down any thoughts, observations, any lists of things I need to remember, any reminders, appointments, whatever I need to jot down while I'm out, it goes in here. And I have a whole tagging system that helps me reference information really easily. And I go over all of that in that video that I talked about. So check that out if you're more interested. But yeah, this kind of just acts as a catch-all notebook for me. And it's really helped me be more mindful when I'm out. I reach for my phone much less and reach for this often a lot of the time instead. And so it's been a great way for me to reduce the reliance on my phone to keep me company and keep me entertained when I'm out. And it's also just helped me stay more organized and aware of the things that I need to get done. So overall, it's been a great addition to my life. I have found this to be so useful. So this will continue to be in my system indefinitely. Okay, next, let's talk about my Hobonichi Cousin. This is my daily driver. This is like, when you ask me what my journal is, it's this one. This is my main space that I come to that is not only a creative outlet for me, but also very necessary for me to mentally feel okay in the world. It's where I process my emotions. It's where I write about my memories. It's where I can geek out about the things that I'm interested in. It's where I commonplace. It's everything. It's my everything book, essentially. And I am very partial to the Hobonichi Cousin. It's just the book and format that works best for me for journaling. I love the size. This is A5, and I love that it lays flat. I love the paper, the feeling of the paper, and how it kind of crinkles over time. I love the design of these pages and how they are formatted. There's something about it that makes it very approachable and not intimidating. I don't know if that makes sense, but the color palette, the little design elements on the page that kind of feel like you're not starting from a blank page, it just, to me, makes journaling feel much more approachable and fun. I don't know, there's a personality to Hobonichi products that I feel is very fun and playful and inspires creativity in some way, at least for me. So I have been using a Hobonichi Cousin for the past 3 years now, and I love it. Getting into the specifics of how I use each of the sections of this book. So first of all, this is a spring start. I use this cover page as a sticker wall of stickers that I have collected through the year, whether it's through Happy Mail, from friends, or just from places that I've been to. And then on the calendar page, I use this to track my time off of work. Then we get into the index page. I use this as my health tracker. I find that it's the perfect amount of space to track all of the health symptoms that are important to me. I love how I'm able to compare month by month in this kind of view, because by the end of these 6 months on this page, I'm really able to see what has improved over time, what has gotten worse, where should I be directing my attention when it comes to my health. But this has been really efficient for health tracking for me. I used to be much more thorough in my health tracking. At the beginning of the year, I had a Hobonichi Weeks that was dedicated just for health tracking. It was all in this beautiful wallpaper design. I love this book so much. It's so beautiful. This is designed by Yumi Kirikishi, and I love all of her artwork. But unfortunately, I found this to be honestly too thorough for me, and I wasn't getting much value out of it at the end of the day. It was just kind of making me feel down because I was pretty much writing the same story every single day, and it was starting to do more harm than good for me personally. So I decided to just move everything into this book, treat it a little more clinically, and just check things off each day rather than reflect on how I was feeling each day about my health. And that has been working much better for me, because I've found if there are days where I do want to expand upon how I'm feeling about my health, I will anyway do that in my journal entries. So yeah, this was all I really needed to track my health. Okay. And if I'm speeding through this, it's just because I know most of you are very familiar with how I use my Hobonichi Cousin, because it's the one I show the most. So I'm trying to be mindful of that, but still cover everything. Okay, moving into the calendar pages, very straightforward. I just use this as a calendar. So I write down any important dates, any birthdays, appointments that I have, or days off, any events, and I do reference my calendars often to check when I have appointments. And so I use this space very functionally, but I also really enjoy being creative in my monthly spreads as well. So you'll notice a lot of my stickers go here. Something else that I track in my monthlies is what I'm reading and what I'm watching. That has also been kind of fun to track here. And those are the monthlies. I'm behind on decorating my June and July pages, so I need to do that soon. Okay, now I'm trying to figure out how I want to use the weekly spreads. Previously, I had been using it as a work planner. So each day I would just write my work to-dos, and I would also kind of use it as a quick recap of the day. So whenever I was done writing out my work to-dos, I would use the rest of the space just to write about what I did that day or what stood out from the day. So it was kind of like a memory keeping space as well. I never really had to-dos on the weekend days, so I would use this as a note-taking space for work. But recently I have moved to Notion to do all of my work planning digitally because I just found that this was not enough space for me anymore. And I like that in Notion, because it's digital, I can use as many pages as I want to write notes for work. This felt too limiting in here. Although it has historically worked really well for me for work planning, this year, because my work has become more intense, it is no longer enough space for me. So now I'm figuring out what I would like to use this space for, and something I was thinking of trying is a media log, because I don't really do that anywhere. Usually if I finish some book or series that I really, really love, then I'll write about it in my journal entries. But I would love to start tracking like the media that I'm consuming on a weekly basis. Like, what are the songs that I've been loving, or the artists that I really love right now, and like maybe do a collage every week for that. Let's see, I'm gonna try it out this week, but if it ends up being too much work and hard to maintain, then I don't want to create more work for myself unnecessarily. So I will keep you posted on how I end up using these spreads. The other idea I had was like kind of like a joy journal area. So just write about all of the things that week that brought me joy, and also have it be very visual heavy as well, and more like a creative, fun, happy space. But I just will have to try it out and see what actually ends up working for me. Okay, after the weekly pages, there's this turning the page spread in the Cousin. That's just 2 blank grid pages. And over here, I have attached a little postcard that I got from Paper Plant Co. I think this card is just so beautiful. I love this illustration. I love the colors used. So I knew I wanted to save it in my journal, and I thought I might as well write a little letter to myself. So I stuck that in here at the start of this book. And then I did a little collage with the pamphlet that came with my journal. Then there was one more blank space here, so I'm using this as an ink log. I'm just logging every time I change the ink in my fountain pens. So that's been really fun to see over time. And then we get into the daily pages. So I don't force myself to write every day. I kind of just write when I feel like writing. And I really just write about anything and everything. I don't place any rules for myself in here. I, copy down quotes from books that I like, or I talk about my feelings and what's been on my mind, what I'm ruminating about, or I write about media that I'm consuming, TV shows and music. It really is anything and everything that is of interest to me. I don't treat this as a daily journal, if that makes sense. Like, it's not a space where I just write about what I did that day. Sometimes it is, if I feel the need to document that and that I really want to remember what happened on a certain day. But most of the time, I'm writing about what's on my mind. Writing it out helps me articulate the feelings so that I can move on from them or process them better. I really use writing as a way of processing my feelings. And not only that, but solidifying my sense of self, understanding my identity and who I am, and giving life to that. So this journaling practice is incredibly important to me. Something that I set out for myself this year was I really didn't want to place any restrictions on how I used this journal. It's a very thoughtful space, but it can also be very fun and playful and creative, and I really see this as just an expression of my mind. And so that is how I've been using these pages and how I plan to continue to do so. I do use this back page sometimes for testing fountain pen inks because I have noticed issues with the Sanzen paper in here, and every now and then I experience extreme bleed through on the pages. So that's been pretty frustrating, but I've found ways to work around it. But that is my Hobonichi Cousin. I feel very at home in here, and it's definitely like a comfort notebook for me now. It feels like an extension of myself. I do get a lot of questions about this cover. This is the Hobonichi Poder Stroll cover that they released, I believe, last fall in 2024, and I'm pretty sure it's sold out. This was a limited edition release, so I'm so sorry if you are interested in this cover. I don't think it's available anymore. I have seen some people reselling it on eBay. That's potentially a place you can look. I think there might be some A6 versions still in stock, but this is the A5 size. The A6 is black, the A5 is dark green. I just thought I would mention the name of this cover in case anyone wants to try to find a used one. It's the POTR, Poder Stroll cover. Okay, now for my beautiful Louise Carmen. I think this is the only one that I still haven't shared on my channel, like how I'm using it. I do have a whole video about my in-store experience getting this in Paris in person, so I will link that as well. But yes, this is my Louise Carmen that I recently bought during my trip to Paris. I still can't believe that I was able to get this in person, and I feel so grateful for that. It was such a unique experience. For those of you who are not familiar with Louise Carmen, they make leather notebooks. Really, the main appeal of these notebooks is that they are completely customizable. So you can choose the size, the style, the color, the elastic band color. You can choose whatever charms you want to add to your book. So it's just a lot of fun kind of customizing it to your liking. And I will say the quality is really nice as well. Like, it's very elegant and beautifully made. And I really just love the feel of this leather. So I got the Honore notebook. It is an A5 Slim. And I also got this engraving on it, which says "You are your home," which I think is so beautiful. And here are the charms that I got: a moon and a Scorpio. As for my inserts, I have a dot grid insert from Louise Carmen. And then I also got a Midori blank grid insert, which I actually had cut down to an A5 Slim at FedEx. So Midori doesn't offer A5 Slim notebooks, but I just bought an A5, went to FedEx, and had to pay a little bit to have it cut down to an A5 Slim, but this works perfectly. And then the last insert in here is also a dot grid from Louise Carmen. And then in the back, we have a little pocket here, which right now is empty, but I think will be really handy over time. And then you can just see here the Louise Carmen Made in France engraving. And then there is this pen loop here. It looks deceivingly small, but it actually stretches quite a lot. So you can fit fountain pens in here. And then I also like this little tiny French flag at the bottom here. And it's a trifold notebook. So the notebooks are really nice and homey and secure in there. And then the back has this Louise Carmen Paris engraving. I got my notebook in the plum colorway. I just think it's so stunning, and I loved the way that this color ages as well. So going into what I actually use this notebook for, I have started doing the artist's way. This is also new to my channel. I have not shared this with you all yet, but a couple weeks ago, I decided to try doing the artist's way for a couple of different reasons, and I don't think I'll go into that in this video because then we're just gonna get completely on a tangent, and I think it's just a different topic altogether. But I did just want to say that I was heavily inspired by Little Coco Studio and Leanne Likes, as well as Job's Journal. All three of them have been sharing their artist way journeys on YouTube and on Patreon, and I've particularly been following Allison and Leanne's journeys, Little Coco Studio and Leanne Likes. They have actually been doing the Artist's Way together on their Patreons. Anyone can access their videos for free, which I think is so amazing because the insights and the reflections that they share week over week have been so invaluable. Honestly, I have just found them to be so valuable and helpful to me, and it really inspired me to do the Artist's Way myself. So I highly recommend checking out their weekly reflections. I will link their Patreons in my description box because, yeah, it's available for anyone to go see for free, which is so amazing. I was very inspired by them. I had been feeling for some time that I wanted to get more in touch with my creative side. I had been feeling really creatively blocked for a long time now, which is one of the reasons why I started digital drawing again. But, you know, I've really been feeling creatively blocked. And not just that, I also, with being diagnosed with autism so recently, I felt this strong desire to get back in touch with my inner child and try to uncover more of my authentic self and unmask. And so sometimes using guides like this that force you to reflect on your past, on your childhood, on your creative self even, I feel like is a great way of getting back in touch with your inner child. So that's kind of why I was really interested in doing the Artist's Way. I was very skeptical about it as well. I mean, I have my own hesitations about this book, honestly, but ultimately I really was just seeking different ways to get closer to myself, my real self. And I knew that I wanted this notebook to be a part of that for me and help me in that process. So right now I am using this as my companion for the Artist's Way journey. So all of my morning pages I'm doing in here, all of the weekly tasks that you need to do, I'm doing in here, and it's been really nice. This has now started to feel like it started to feel like home, honestly. It feels like a very intimate, private space for me to be really honest about my feelings and emotions and thoughts. And yeah, I've already noticed change in myself since starting this. So I will definitely do another video about the Artist's Way and how that's been going for me. But since this is a Techo Kaigi, I don't want to get too off topic here. I do just want to show you how I'm using this journal, this notebook. So I'm using this dot grid insert from Louise Carmen for all of my weekly tasks for the Artist's Way. I don't want to show you what I've written in here because it's very private, but hopefully you can kind of see. I've been using these pages. At first, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this insert. I've never used Louise Carmen paper before, but the paper quality is amazing. It actually feels similar to Midori paper to me. It's really fountain pen friendly. There's no bleed through whatsoever. I was shocked by that. I mean, I've used different inks in here. I've used Pilot Iroshizuku inks, I've used Dominant Industry. Nothing has bled through. It holds up really well to fountain pen ink, so I'm thrilled about that because I also knew I wanted to really be playful with all of my inks in this space, especially if it's supposed to inspire more creativity for me. So that has been great. I think they're quite expensive. I did get these inserts like for free with the journal cover, so I didn't have to pay extra for these. I don't know if I would purchase these on their own. I'd have to see how much they actually cost, but the quality is great. So yeah, this insert is for all of my weekly tasks. the questions that I have to answer, the things that I'm reflecting on as I'm doing the Artist's Way, all goes in here. And then I'm using the Midori grid insert for my morning pages and keeping it really simple. And again, I'm not going to show you like what I've written in here, but hopefully you can just see like, yeah, I've been really using this and writing a lot. And this is also wonderful quality paper for fountain pens. It's very different from the Hobonichi paper that I've been using. I've never really written in Midori paper other than like some of my traveler's notebook inserts, but yeah, I've never done long form journaling in Midori paper before, but it's so wonderful. It's such a nice writing experience. It's very different from Tomoe River paper, but it has its own charm and I have really come to love it. And again, it stands up to all of my fountain pen inks really well. And then I just have this blank insert here. I've just kind of left it in here as storage, but I think once I finish this first insert, I will move on to this one. I have thought about how I'm going to use this notebook after I finish the Artist's Way, because that is just a 12-week program, essentially. I do think I'm going to continue with morning pages well after I'm done with the Artist's Way. I have found it to be actually a really beneficial practice for me. So I definitely will continue with morning pages, but I think this is also going to continue to be a more private thoughts and feelings space. A lot of the things I'm writing about in here is very personal and very intense, honestly, and it kind of is starting to become like a therapy journal in a way. So I think once I finish the Artist's Way, I think this is still going to be a space for me to be very honest about things that I'm going through. You know, it'll be a more private space that is not shared as publicly as like my Hobonichi Cousin is. And I'm really hoping that this eventually becomes an insert for me to write poetry or just be more free in here. I don't know how to explain it, but for some reason in this notebook, I feel like I can be completely free and myself. And yeah, it's a space for me to kind of be uninhibited at all. And for some reason, I don't always feel that way in my Hobonichi Cousin. In here, I see it as more of a creative outlet versus this feels more intimate to me somehow. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I just see this as being a space for my innermost thoughts, and hopefully I can start writing poetry again, because that is something, like I mentioned, being creatively blocked. One of the biggest blocks I have felt is I've stopped writing poetry, and I used to be an avid writer of poetry, and that makes me sad. So yeah, we will see what this evolves into being after the Artist's Way. Right now, it is my Artist's Way journal, but I do think it will continue to be a very important space for me, an important part of my journal system. And of course, going to continue morning pages in here. Okay, and lastly, we have my traveler's notebook. And this one is also very special to me because I also got this abroad during a trip that was very, very dear to me. This is my first ever traveler's notebook that I've purchased, and it was in Kyoto in Japan. I got this from the Traveler's Factory Kyoto store. So that in itself is very, very special, but I was also able to get this customized with the Baumkuchen Truly Yours service. And I love this notebook so much. I really love this wabi sabi stamp. I was able to add my TSL patch that I also purchased in Japan and my Yosegi charm. I got a little pen loop added here as well. And this beautiful brass charm down here that says the journey is the destination. I also just love these little brass rivets. So those were all customizations that I got done. And I do not journal in here, so this is not something that I use for journaling or planning. This mainly holds my ink swatching notebook and my sticker release insert. So It's kind of a mix of a couple things. I have this craft folder insert that I also got at Traveler's Factory Kyoto. And actually right after I purchased it, I was able to add all of these stamps from the stamp station at the store. In this craft folder, I'm kind of using it to hold any business cards that I have collected, just random pieces of ephemera in here. For my ink swatching notebook, I'm using a Good Impressions insert, which I think is 68 GSM Tomoe River paper. So it holds up really well to fountain pen ink, which is why I have repurposed this as my ink swatching notebook. Yeah, it really works well for that purpose, I think. Originally at the start of the year, I had thought that this would be my commonplace notebook. So at the very start of this insert, I have some commonplace entries in here, which was fun. But ultimately, I realized that I don't really like journaling in a traveler's notebook. I don't enjoy, I don't know, I think maybe because it doesn't exactly lay flat, that bothers me. I find it uncomfortable to write in. I think also I was surprised by how awkward this dimension feels for me. It just feels too narrow. I just couldn't get the hang of it. I also found that I wasn't able to visualize my spreads really easily the way that I can in an A5 format. I just didn't find it fun writing in this format. So I pretty quickly decided to move my commonplace back into my Hobonichi Cousin along with my journaling. So it's kind of like an all-in-one book. And then I turned this into my ink swatching notebook. It's just really handy, really functional. And I don't end up coming in here very often as a result because it has such a specific purpose. But I have found personally that for me, traveler's notebooks work well when they have a very specific purpose and when I don't need to do long form journaling in here. For now, this is working well. I think eventually I'm gonna have to come up with a more sophisticated ink swatch system, kind of more organized by color family or something like that. But because I'm so new to the fountain pen world and I don't have a ton of inks, this is working well for me. So I'm gonna continue using this insert until I fill it up. And then, like I said, I have my sticker release paper in here as well. A large part of my sticker collection is in here, and that comes in really handy. And then I just have this leather folder that I also got from Traveler's Factory Kyoto. This is the Butler Werner Sales collab with Traveler's Factory. I just thought this design was really beautiful. It has some landmarks in Kyoto, but this leather just feels so nice and buttery and soft. And in here, it's kind of like an ephemera holder. Like I have a lot of paper scraps from Happy Mail. These were some stamps that Elle from the Common Corner gave me. Memo sheets, sticky notes, just kind of like loose paper I keep in here. And that's it in here. Okay, those are all of my journals that I currently use. I'm not sure if this was really a Techo Kaigi or more of just an explanation of what I use, but I hope you enjoyed. It was fun to kind of reflect on the notebooks in my life and how special they all are to me. My notebooks mean so much to me. They are such an important part of my life. And I'm so happy that I have finally kind of found a system that I feel very at peace with. I don't like the term planner piece or journal piece. I think we as humans keep changing constantly. Like change is a constant in all areas of life, all areas of the universe, honestly. So I think our needs are always going to change. What we find appealing will change. And ultimately, it's just paper. It's just notebooks at the end of the day. It's not that deep. I think it's totally okay to not find planner or journal piece and to constantly want to try new things. So I'm not going to say that I have found journal peace, but I will say that I'm really happy with these notebooks right now. They're serving me really well, and I'm glad that I have been able to use these books consistently. They're really serving me well because I reach for them so often, and that is such a great feeling. And so I'm going to try to sustain that as long as I can. I hope you found this interesting, or maybe got some inspiration. I'm honestly just happy that you gave me company today, so thank you so much for being here. I would love to hear in the comments what your current journaling ecosystem looks like and how it's going for you. How have your books been treating you so far in 2025? And do you see yourself making any changes for next year? I have already started to think through what I'd like to use in 2026, but that is another topic for another video. I would love to hear your thoughts below. Thank you so much again for being here, and I will see you in the next one.